The ASC, with funding provided by Title V in collaboration with the English department, presents Accuplacer Orientation Video Part 2. Although Video 1 was helpful in familiarizing students with the components of the test, practicing questions and reviewing material can really make a difference in one's score. You are now familiar with what the test format is and what the directions will ask you to do. So let's take some time to review what reading and writing skills you will need to know in order to do well on the test. Grammar, specifically, plays a large part on the sentence skills section. This video will highlight the grammar rules you should know before you take the test. Before we get started on tackling grammar, we need to understand a few concepts first. A complete thought can stand alone as a complete sentence. A complete sentence always has a subject, the noun, and a verb, which is the action in the sentence. The artist worked diligently on his painting. The subject is the artist, and the verb is worked. Because it has a subject and a verb, and because it expresses a complete thought, this is a complete sentence. An incomplete thought cannot stand on its own. These statements usually lack either a subject or a verb and fail to express a complete thought. This incomplete sentence, worked diligently on his painting, is missing the subject, the person who is performing the action, and is therefore an incomplete thought. Let's look at how complete sentences are constructed. Sometimes all a sentence needs to express a complete thought is a subject and a verb. Any additional information provides extra details but is not necessary to complete a sentence. Mary is the subject and run is the verb. Mary runs is a complete thought. To the store is just an extra detail that specifies where Mary ran. Please note that the following sentences are complete because they have a subject and a verb that express a complete thought. The extra details provide information but are not essential to the sentence. Now let's look at these examples. The police officer with the bad teeth did not write the graffiti artist a ticket. Is there a subject and a verb in this sentence? Can you identify them? The police officer is the noun, and did not write is the verb. Does the sentence express a complete thought? Yes, therefore it is a complete sentence. All the other words are extra details. Let's try one more. Many parents lose their children at Disneyland and Universal Studios. There is a noun and a verb in this sentence, and it expresses a complete thought, so this is a complete sentence too. Now that we have walked you through a few examples, pause the video and try these following exercises on your own. Press play once you're done. Okay, let's see how you did. Take a look at the first exercise. You should have identified called Bob on the phone as an incomplete sentence because it is missing the subject of the sentence. Here's one way that you could have fixed the incomplete thought. As long as you added a subject before the verb called, your answer is correct. Exercise 2 is already correct because it is complete. It has a subject, Catherine, and a verb, enjoyed, and expresses a complete thought. Now that you know the difference between a complete and incomplete sentence, let's take a look at how grammar affects sentences. Fragments are incomplete sentences. Usually, fragments are pieces of sentences that have become disconnected from the complete thought. Let's take a look at the various types of fragments and how to identify them on the test. I went to the store for some milk. Can this sentence stand alone as a complete sentence? It has a subject and a verb that states a complete thought, so yes. Can the next sentence stand alone? No, because there is no subject or verb in the sentence, just extra details, and that is why it is a fragment. It is an incomplete thought. Let's look at this sentence. Ran to the store immediately after she realized she had left her groceries there. Is this a complete sentence? No. Why? Because the sentence is missing the subject, the person doing the action. When we add the subject, in this case Tina, the sentence becomes complete. Tina ran to the store. All the rest of the words are extra details. Here's another example. Now pause the video and try this one on your own. Press play when you're done so you can check your answer. The party that occurred tonight. Now, does this have a subject? Yes. Party is the subject and occurred is the verb. Now ask yourself, does this express a complete thought? No, it doesn't. The word that implies that there is more to the sentence. The party that occurred tonight, what? Here are some ways to complete the sentence. The party that occurred tonight was amazing. The party that occurred tonight was shut down at 11 o'clock. These words complete the thought. Let's look at another example. Although the Greeks had strong ties to the mythological tradition and believed that their fate was chosen by the gods, history has proven that many Greeks were atheists. Now identify which of these sentences is an incomplete thought. Even though the first sentence has a subject and a verb and provides a lot of information, it is not complete. The first sentence depends on the second in order for it to make sense. The word although implies that there is some information that should follow within the same sentence. Note that the second sentence itself would not be a fragment if it stood alone. In order to make the first sentence complete, we have to attach it to the second one. Try this example on your own. Read the following passage. Identify which of the following sentences is a fragment. Change the fragment to a complete sentence. Pause the video and press play once you have completed the exercise. Let's identify the fragment first. If you selected Hawthorne, the author of Young Goodman Brown, then you're correct. By adding a verb, you could have fixed the fragment. Hawthorne is the author of Young Goodman Brown. Other grammar questions that may come up on the test are run-ons. A run-on is one long sentence that is actually two or more complete thoughts. A run-on can also be a sentence that lacks proper punctuation and or words that connect complete thoughts. For example, our car is out of gas, we cannot reach town before dark. In this run-on sentence, we can see that there are two distinct independent thoughts. Our car is out of gas is a sentence on its own. It has a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. And the same can be said about the second part of the run-on sentence. Some sort of punctuation or conjunction must be added in order to separate or adjoin the complete thoughts. Here are some examples. Here's another example. His car was not working, he called for a taxi to come and pick him up. Let's identify the two complete thoughts in this run-on sentence. Each of these sentences has a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. How might we fix this run-on? We could add a conjunction, separate them with a period, or add a semicolon. A run-on can also be two or more complete thoughts that are adjoined by a comma. Strenuous efforts have been made by government officials to ameliorate labor conditions of the working class in Ghana. Officials have promised to pass a law on the matter by the end of the month. A comma cannot take the place of a semicolon or period. When you replace the comma with a period or a semicolon, the adjoined sentences become properly separated. Here's another example of separating a run-on with a semicolon. I edited my paper because it exceeded the maximum requirement. My professor wouldn't accept anything over the page limit. Where does the sentence end? Because these sentences are connected in terms of content, a semicolon would work best to substitute the period. You add a semicolon where the first complete thought ends. Pause the video and try this exercise on your own. Press play when you're done. The semicolon should go after the word baker because it separates two complete sentences. Notice that each side of the semicolon has a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. On the test, you will be expected to know how to use commas. A comma can be used in several ways. Here are a few. A comma is used to separate items in a list. I ate strawberries, oranges, and kiwis. A comma is used after an introductory thought when a complete sentence follows it. After completing his annotations on Shakespeare's Sonnet 94, Manjeet wrote a lengthy essay on the abuse of power. A comma is used before a conjunction to connect two complete sentences. A quick way to remember the conjunctions is to use the acronym FANBOYS. There are 7 conjunctions that require a comma before them to connect complete sentences. I wanted to attend the concert, but the tickets were sold out. Because both sentences are complete, there must be a comma before the conjunction. Raul missed his appointment and Tanya came in late. Because there are 2 complete sentences in this case as well, before the and we need a comma. A comma is used to set off a non-essential thought that can be removed from the sentence without changing its essential meaning. Edith Wharton, who was a Pulitzer Prize-winning American author, died of a stroke at the age of 75. You put commas around incomplete thoughts that do not change the meaning of the sentence. In this case, the incomplete thought within the commas is extra information because Edith Wharton is already a specific noun. If we were to remove the non-essential thought, the main meaning of the sentence would stay the same. Here's another example. Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States, ran for re-election in 2012. Is the phrase 44th President of the United States necessary for us to understand who Obama is? No, he's the president. It's already a specific noun. Therefore, we need to add commas because it's extra information. Commas are not used before thoughts that are always necessary and help identify a noun. The boy who lost his dog cried to the police officer. In this sentence, the descriptive thought is essential in order for us to know which specific boy we're talking about. Therefore, it does not need to be separated by commas. Pause the video and try these exercises on your own. Press play after you have completed both exercises. In the first exercise, the comma should go after the word appointment because the thought that follows is a complete thought. In the second exercise, we have a non-essential thought. Because Tina is specific enough, the words the designer must have a comma before and after. The words the designer provide extra details that are not necessary for us to identify the noun Tina. Knowing which verbs go with which subjects is an essential part of English grammar and will definitely be necessary when answering the sentence construction portion of the test. When the subject of a sentence is composed of 2 or more nouns or pronouns connected by an and, use a plural verb. Rosa and Tanya are taking the same course. Even though the nouns are singular, the verb is plural because the sentence is composed of 2 or more nouns and connected by an and. Secondly, when a compound subject contains both a singular and a plural noun or a pronoun joined by an or nor, the verb should agree with the subject nearest the verb. She or her friends drive to school every day. She is singular, while friends is plural, but because friends is closer to the verb, then the verb must also be plural. If the sentence were the other way around, the verb would change. Her friends or she drives to school every day. She is the closest to the verb and is singular, then the verb must agree with the subject and also be singular. Another rule for subject-verb agreement is that the verb should agree with the subject, not with their noun or pronoun that may come between the subject and the verb. One of my friends is a teacher. The main subject in this sentence is one, which is singular. Do not be confused by the plural noun friends that comes between the main noun and the verb. Because one is singular, the verb must also be singular. The words each one, either, neither, everyone, everybody, anybody, anyone, nobody, somebody, someone, and no one are singular and require singular verb. Disregard any other plural nouns that may follow. Nobody in any of her classes is passing. Nobody is singular, therefore the verb is also singular. If you stumble across a term during the test that you're unfamiliar with, don't panic. Use context clues. Context clues are other words in the sentence or paragraph that give you a clue about what the definition of an unknown word or phrase may be. This will be especially helpful in the reading comprehension portion. Let's look at this example. He could not deny that the decisions he made today would affect his future. After all, actions have consequences. They are not nugatory. You may have no idea what the word nugatory means, but from the clues you can guess that it means irrelevant or insignificant. This is the end of the grammar review portion. It will be especially helpful when you attempt the sentence skills portion of the test. For more review, check out the grammar resources on the ASC website or come into the ASC. Now we will focus on sample test questions and use our grammar knowledge to help us answer these questions. As we mentioned earlier, there are two sections on the test, reading comprehension and sentence skills. There are two types of questions for each section of the test. Here's what the directions will look like for each. Reading comprehension question type 1 is as follows. Read the statement or passage and then choose the best answer to the question. Answer the question based on what is stated or implied in the statement or passage. This is your basic reading comprehension question. Look for clues in the passage to help you distinguish the correct answer. Reading comprehension question type 2. For the questions that follow, two underlined sentences are followed by a question or statement. Read the sentence and then choose the best answer to the question or the best completion of the statement. With these questions, you have to be sure that you 1. Read the passage or sentence carefully, and 2. Critically evaluate the answer choices to assure that they support the reading. Sentence skills question type 1, sentence correction. Select the best version of the underlined part of the sentence. The first choice is the same as the original sentence. With these questions, you will have to utilize the grammar rules we learned earlier. Keep in mind that the part of the sentence that is not underlined must stay the same. Sentence skills question type 2 is construction shift. Rewrite the sentence in your head following the directions given below. Your new sentence should be well written and should have essentially the same meaning as the original sentence. These questions can be tricky. Each construction shift question may have many different directions. With these questions, you are not looking for the answer per se. You are looking for another way to rephrase the given statement. Now let's take a look at some practice questions from each section. Reading comprehension question 1. Read the statement or passage and then choose the best answer to the question. Answer the question based on what is stated or implied in the statement or passage. All water molecules form six-sided structures as they freeze and become snow crystals. The shape of the crystal is determined by the temperature, vapor, and wind conditions in the upper atmosphere. Snow crystals are always symmetrical because these conditions affect all six sides simultaneously. The purpose of this passage is to present A. A personal observation, B. To present a solution to the problem, C. To present actual information, or D. To present opposing scientific theories. Let's use the process of elimination to determine the answer. The passage does not provide any sort of opposing theory because the passage does not mention other views on snow crystals or how they may be formed. So let's eliminate answer choice D. The passage also does not discuss any personal observations. If the passage had said, I have noticed that snow crystals freeze as six-sided structures, only then would it have been a personal observation. There is no problem mentioned in the passage, which means that there cannot be a solution. So it's easy to discern that C, actual information, is the correct answer. Reading comprehension question 2. For the questions that follow, two underlined sentences are followed by a question or statement. Read the sentences and then choose the best answer to the question or the best completion of the statement. In this question, we are expected to decide how the two sentences are related. Let's take a look at the statements. Knowledge of another language fosters greater awareness of cultural diversity among the peoples of the world. Individuals who have foreign language skills can appreciate more readily other people's values and ways of life. How are the two sentences related? Do they A. contradict each other, B. present problems and solutions, C. establish a contrast, or D. repeat the same idea? The first sentence is about how knowing other languages can help one understand other cultures. The second statement is rephrasing the exact same thing, so the answer must be D. They repeat the same idea. To double check your answer, look at the other options. The two statements definitely don't contradict or contrast each other because they are talking about the exact same thing. The first statement doesn't present a problem, so B couldn't possibly be the answer either. Therefore, D is the only one that could be correct. Sentence correction question 1. Select the best version of the underlined part of the sentence. The first choice is the same as the original sentence. Surprised by the amount of applause, the composer bowed 3 more times. Here are our answer choices. A. Surprised by the amount of applause. B. The surprising amount of applause. C. Surprised by the amount of applause, comma. And D. The surprising amount of applause had caused. Before starting, remember that the portion of the statement that is not underlined must stay the same no matter what option you choose. Now go back to the question. During the grammar review portion of this video, we stated that commas should be used after introductory statements if the sentence that follows is complete. In this question, the composer bowed 3 times is a complete sentence that can stand alone without the introductory statement. Because of this, there must be a comma after applause, so the correct answer is C. If you had forgotten that rule, you could have used the process of elimination to narrow down your answers. B and D could not have been correct because they changed the meaning of the sentence. Sentence correction question 2. Select the best version of the underlined part of the sentence. The first choice is the same as the original sentence. Maria can run faster than me. Your answer choices are A. Faster than me, B. Faster than I, C. Faster than myself, and D. Faster, comma, than I. Let's start by eliminating all the answer choices that we are certain are wrong. There is no need for there to be a comma before than in option D since it is not a conjunction. Therefore, that's not the answer. You can only use the pronoun myself in option C if the subject of the verb Maria were referring to herself as the object. In this case, Maria and me are 2 distinctly separate nouns. That leaves us with option A and B. Although option A sounds right because it is often used in everyday conversation, the more correct choice is B because the sentence should be Maria can run faster than I can, in which the can is dropped. Therefore, B is the correct choice. Now on to the construction shift portion of the test. Let's look at question 1 together. Rewrite the sentence in your head following the directions given below. Your new sentence should be well written and should have essentially the same meaning as the original sentence. Latasha wanted to go to the store but her car had broken down. Rewrite the sentence beginning with, because Latasha's car had broken down, the next words in the sentence will be A. Because Latasha's car had broken down, she could not go to the store. B. Because Latasha's car had broken down, she did not went to the store. C. Because Latasha's car had broken down, after she could not go to the store. And D. Because Latasha's car had broken down, she could not go into the store. As I stated earlier, it's important to pay attention to directions. This one asks you what the next words in the sentence will be, so be sure that the answer you choose completes the underlined, newly constructed sentence. Did you read all your answer choices aloud? That would have helped you immediately recognize that went cannot follow the helping verb did. That eliminates option B. Option D is also clearly wrong because the progressive verb going can only be used after the word am, is, are, and were. In option C, the word after is unnecessary and changes the meaning of the sentence. Therefore, A, because Latasha's car had broken down, she could not go to the store, is the right answer. Construction shift question 2. Rewrite the sentence in your head following the directions given below. Your new sentence should be well written and should have essentially the same meaning as the original sentence. He was happy with his girlfriend and decided to marry her. Rewrite the sentence beginning with happy. Your new sentence will include A. He had decided, B. He decided, C. He was decided, and D. His decision. Let's pay attention to the directions here. The question asks that you pick the phrase that will be included in the sentence, not the phrase that will follow the word happy. You want to make sure that you keep the verb tense the same and do not change the meaning of the sentence. So here are some of the ways you might have constructed your sentences. Notice that each sentence starts with the word happy. Let's take a look at construction A. Happy with his girlfriend, he had decided to marry her. The words we need to focus on are he had decided. So let's take a look at this timeline. The phrase he decided is simply the past. Our answer choice, he had decided, is even further in the past. The issue with this answer choice is that he decided to marry her is already said in the past, so the word had is unnecessary. So let's scratch answer choice A. Let's skip to choice C. Happy with his girlfriend, he was decided to marry her. Choice C can be immediately omitted because was is unnecessary. Decided is already in the past tense, so was is extra. Choice D, happy with his decision to marry his girlfriend, can be eliminated because it is an incomplete sentence. Where is the subject of the sentence? Who is the one doing the marrying? Therefore, option B is the correct answer because it does not alter the meaning or the verb tense of the original sentence. Pause the video and try this question out on your own. Press play when you are done. Now that you have arrived at your answer on your own, let's work through that together. The directions ask that you rewrite the sentence in your head. Your new sentence should be well written and should have essentially the same meaning as the original sentence. She was teaching a class at 8 in the morning. Rewrite the sentence beginning with the word her class. Your new sentence will include A is taught, B was taught, C is being taught, D would have been taught. Now rewrite the sentence beginning with the words her class. Remember, your sentence will include only one of the answer choices. They may not necessarily follow the word her class. If we look at the original sentence, we will notice that it is in the past tense. It is important to keep our new sentence as close to the original as possible. Therefore, our new sentence should be in the past tense too. That narrows it down to option B and D. It cannot be option D because the class has already been taught, while the word would implies something that has not yet happened. That leaves choice B. Her class was taught at 8 in the morning. This concludes our practice portion. We hope this video helped prepare you for the AccuPlacer assessment.